So I don't know if you ever feel like we got this, because there's always a new problem to solve. Like, I swear all we do is just solve problems every day. Like, there's always new issues arriving. There's always something to figure out. There's always a shipment that didn't come in. There's always a product that needs fixed. Like, it's constant, constant fires you're putting out. But I do think we really value the really cool opportunities we've been able to do, and that kind of always makes us kind of stop and like think back, like, wow, like remember where we came from? Like, this is pretty cool. Even like after everyone's gone at the end of the day and like we're turning off the lights in the kitchen and the building, we're like, wow, like we built this.
Welcome to I Think I Can podcast. My name is Luella Young. I am a woman who believes that we, like wine, get better with age. Age brings us wisdom, intuition, and a level of sophistication that is beyond the reach of youth. I am here to tell you that living a luxuriously rich and fulfilling life is in your reach. I Think I Can podcast will teach you to think differently in order to get different results. Allow me to show you how to do life effortlessly. This podcast is for the woman who is tired of playing by the rules of society, community, religion, parents, and partners. I Think I Can is all about becoming brave, authentic, purposeful, and strong. Listen weekly and you will find yourself living a life you could have only once dreamed of. Thoughts drive our physiology, so channel your thoughts with me into a life truly worth living. Enjoy the show. Hello, listeners. Today I have with me two powerful women, two twin sisters, Ashley and Jenna from Jenna Rae Cakes, a delectable family-owned bakery housed in Winnipeg, Canada. Now, if you don't live here, not to worry, they ship internationally as well. These women took a passion and made it a rapidly growing business. Jenna needed a medium to express her design skills, and it turns out that watching an episode of Cake Boss was all it took to solidify her purpose. She used the mindset, I think I can, to create beautiful, delectable sweet treats. Ashley's eye for style and design helped her sister market her skills and build a brand that makes these sisters shine on Instagram. Their most recent accomplishment is writing a beautiful recipe book of their most sought out treats so bakers around the world can get a taste of their unique creations. Enjoy the show. Welcome, Jenna and Ashley, to the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Okay, I wanted to start by, talking about, well, actually, I read something in your bio that I thought was really neat. It stated, and I'm just going to quote straight from the bio, Jenna Hutchinson was in the middle of applying to dental school when she saw an episode of Cake Boss and thought, I can do that. Little did she know that moment would set her life off in a new direction, and she and her twin sister, Ashley, would go on to own one of Canada's most successful and celebrated bakeries, Jenna Rae Cakes. Now, because of the name of the podcast, Jenna, after reading that bio, I just had to get you on here because, how is it that you could just say, I can do that? Like, was it sort of like, I don't know, just a moment where, or did you have to just, manifest that over and over and over again? Or was it something that you decided and you were going to go for it?
Yeah. I'm not much of a manifesting type of person. I kind of just do things right away. If they work out, they great. If they don't, then I move on to something else. With cakes, I'd always made cakes growing up just for friends, like out of a box with like a tub of icing, nothing special by any means. But something about when I was watching that episode of Cake Boss, I was like, I feel like I could do that. Like it doesn't look that hard. It is hard, but it just looked like something that I just knew that I'd be able to do for some reason. I guess like you know yourself well, so you probably know if you can do something or if you can't, or if it's in your wheelhouse or not. And the only way you really know is if you try it. So then I went out and bought everything I needed to make my first fondant cake, and I fell in love with it immediately. And ever since then, it's just been my passion. And I started making cakes for every single occasion for anyone who would take it for free. Like I was losing a lot of money at the time, but I just fell in love with it. So I would be sitting in classes in university sketching out cake designs, and yeah, just eventually realized that I needed to pursue this instead of schooling because I couldn't do both. It was getting way too much a couple of years in. So I decided to pursue this all the way. And that's kind of the quick version of it. But
yeah, no, that's perfect. So now I have to ask a little bit. I mean, you as a kid, and Ashley, you can, just like jump in anytime with these questions as well. But as a young little girl, like, I mean, so I'm envisioning watching your mother, bake, or you had, what was it? The Easy Bake Oven? And like, was it all of that? Or was this sort of like, no, I mean, not, hugely passionate about it. Like,
yeah, it's, if anything, Ash was more the baker and I cooked a lot growing up.
Okay.
But I always enjoyed baking growing up with my parents, with my mom, and then Baba and grandma or granny. So
yeah, there was always baking going around our family. So I think even though it was never an obvious career path for either of us until it was, I think it was always in the back of our mind that this is something families do together. This is something we enjoy to do together. And I think when Jenna saw Cake Boss and saw the design side that could be applied to baking, I think that's when like that spark kind of was lit.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you would both say that there's a creative side towards you.
Definitely. The bakery wouldn't be here if there wasn't, because that's what I fell in love with first, was the decorating aspect. Baking was more of a means to an end to create on the cake, I guess you could say. So now obviously baking is a huge part of what we do. It's the hugest part of what we do. But to start, I fell in love with the decorating side.
Okay. And I'm intrigued by that too, because you entered dentistry. So, I mean, that's not really creative. It was, more science-based. So I kind of, what I'm curious about is, I mean, how does someone go from, it's like, what did you think about your careers? Like, what did you want to be? I mean, it's such a hard thing in high school and, first year university. No one knows what they're really supposed to be doing. Like
Ash is kind of always known in some way.
Yeah. Well, I've known from, I'd say grade 6 or 7 that I wanted to be in design. I didn't really know what that meant, but I knew that I liked looking at like menu design and CD design. And I was really interested in that side of things. And how do you make something aesthetically pleasing? Like I didn't have those words, but I always found that so interesting. And then I got into advertising art in, first of all, it was art in junior high. And my teacher, Mr. Nasmik, was like a big catalyst, I think, in my career direction, because he got me really interested in art and he assured me that I could make a job out of it. And then when I got to high school, we had a program, advertising art, which I feel very lucky to have had because it really set me up for graphic design and getting into college that way. And I think I always thought that I would just be working at an agency my whole life and just working for really cool clients. That was always kind of my goal. So I would never have predicted where it would have led me. But looking back, I think it's a great place to kind of whet your chops as an entrepreneur, because you need to know the aesthetic side of things. You need to know the branding. You need to know social media. You need to know all of these things to be successful, I think, right off the bat, especially when you're completely broke and you have no money to pay any professionals.
Yes.
So it was hugely beneficial for us to have my background.
No kidding. So you went into college and you got like a 2-year sort of
Yeah, it was a 3-year advanced graphic design.
Okay.
And then I worked in an ad agency for a year. And then I worked at a wedding magazine as a creative director for 2 years. And that was a lot of photography and photo styling and publication design.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So, and where like is Instagram the main, I guess, media channel for you guys?
Yeah, I think that was a bit of luck in terms of timing when we opened, because Instagram was kind of just hitting off, and not a lot of our competitors, if any, were on Instagram, were using it the way that we were. And like we posted like 9 times a day and like shared when we were putting out a certain cupcake flavor, macaron flavor, and then it would sell it within a few hours. So we really utilized it. And I think we just got in at the exact right time for that, because a couple months later it kind of waned, and then they changed the algorithm, and then we had to kind of rechange that again. But it was a great starting off point for us. And to this day, Instagram is one of our biggest marketing channels.
Yeah. And I see how you also include, personal, like that's the other thing, right? It's not just your business that you're advertising on there. The people also, I mean, I'm sure you saw that evolve. People also want to see, the personal side of you guys. And
yeah. And that's something we're a little, we're a little more private. We're both introverted, and I don't know, it's scary to put yourself out there when there's so much meanness flying around online, to put it mildly. So we like to be involved when we can be, when it makes sense, when we're celebrating something. But for the most part, we like to be a bit more behind the scenes, but we're working on it. But.
Yeah, because it's a tough balance, because people follow us because we are a bakery, and they like to see baked goods and pretty pictures and things like that. So sometimes if we put ourselves on there, maybe it's not what they signed up for. So we have to kind of balance that out as well.
I don't know. I'd have to argue with you there a bit. I just think everybody loves a story. Everybody loves a bit of, who you guys are, but I can 100%, relate to what you're saying here as, many people are not overt as, others. And if that's what you need in order to build a business, I think a lot of people would shy away. But I think, there's ways of doing it that everyone can sort of be happy, sort of thing. It doesn't have to be overly one way. And so, back to you, Ashley, it was sort of just, I don't know, like, I guess you're sort of saying you saw what your sister was creating, and somehow you just thought, oh, we can really align in this way. We can partner. Is that how?
I kind of just saw, like, I was excited about it because at the time Jenna started, I was in the wedding industry, and there wasn't a lot of bakeries or cake designers who were really on trend in Winnipeg. I feel like it was a lot of
more old school.
I don't know, I think a bit more old school. It was like 12 years ago. So Pinterest was just starting, and I don't know, I feel like trends were a lot slower to reach Winnipeg. So I was really excited, and I knew that I would help her with the logo and her website and photos, and I found all that really fun. So I was excited about that. But it was never like, we'll grow this big enough so I can join you one day. When she said that she was going to open an actual storefront and bakery, I was also really excited, because I could just see it working, and I knew that I would be there to help her. But even then, I was never planning on.
We were like, maybe in a year, like, once I need some help, I can hire you, or you can join on. And maybe we just never really thought of it. Like, I honestly never even thought about it past the first week when I opened. I mean, I couldn't physically because I was so busy doing everything, but we were just kind of living in the moment and kind of just going with the flow, I guess.
That's always the way we've been. We're very, like, hardworking. We have a solid work ethic, and we know work has to get done to accomplish anything. And I think we're lucky in the way that it's kind of just led us in this direction, and we've been willing to do the work to get there. And we've been really open. We've never shut ourselves off from opportunity, because we've never been like, we're going to be this kind of bakery and we're just going to offer this. We've always been kind of very open to suggestion and criticism, and but also sure in what we wanted it to be. So I don't know. The first 2 years, I feel like we were just heads down, working hard, not really paying attention to what was going on around us because we couldn't get distracted. We just didn't have the time to.
Yeah.
So there wasn't an ultimate goal out there, early. It's sort of like, I want to become one of, Winnipeg's top bakeries or Canada's top bakeries.
No, for me, when I decided to open up, I always have still said to this day, like, I just want to make cakes. That's what I want to do. Yeah. So I was like, I can make cakes and then have a cooler of goodies that when people come in for a cake consult, they can buy some stuff to take home with them. And that was kind of my business plan. And then that part of it really, really took off. So people weren't just coming in just for cakes and consultations. They were coming in to just buy stuff from the cooler. So then we followed that trend. And then, so we kind of just like, it's always just been, I'm just going to do what I like to do, see what people like and kind of run with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to an extent, keep it within what we want to do. But
I think our first big goal was to write a cookbook one day, but it was kind of like a lofty dream. And we knew that if we wanted to get there, we would have to impress a publisher. So we just made sure we dedicated. I remember getting asked all the time, like, how do you guys have time to manage your Instagram when it's only like the three of you? And like, you're so busy. Like, how do you do it? And Jenna would get mad at me because I would take time in the morning before open to get the photos we needed and be able to post things. And I was like, this is very important. It's just as important as anything else. And by building that following and that brand online, that's what caught the eye of our publisher. And that's led to a lot of great things. So I think everything has been a factor in our success. And the fact that we change directions really quickly if something isn't working. So that's also been helpful. And you can do that with social media.
Can you give me an example of that?
In terms of changing direction, even if it's like a menu item you're really excited about, like our mousse cups. I was so excited about our mousse cups. I got like 10,000 cups for packaging and they just didn't sell well. So within a month we cut them off and then switched into a new direction. So that's kind of the nice thing about being a smaller bakery. We can make those decisions and move forward and cut our losses and making sure we're never too stuck in what we think is going to work and actually paying attention.
I'm going to ask you a little bit more about the items you choose to display and how you came about those choices. It's sounding like a little bit of what's the word? Just
trial and error.
Exactly. Yeah. But let's go back to the work ethic. I want to hear a little bit about your parents and like, how they like, what did that look like, as they were watching from the sidelines, their reactions, their cautions, their.
Yeah. So our parents are definitely where our work ethic comes from. We've seen them work hard their whole lives. Our dad actually works, he retired and now he works full time for us and just does anything and everything we need him to. He's his official title is like supply manager or whatever, but he does everything. We love him so much. It's so nice working with him and he's such a hard worker. And so is my mom. So when I first decided I was going to open a storefront, I actually didn't tell them for a little while because I knew that they would stress out about it. And I was like, no, I know what I'm doing. It's going to be good. I didn't know what I was doing, but I just knew, and having Ashley like being like, yeah, that's a great idea. Like I respect her opinion so much. So that gave me the confidence to be like, okay, this is good. I'm going to do this. But I didn't tell my parents for a little bit because I didn't want them to stress. My mom stresses out a lot. So, but no, they've been so supportive. They were there day one. My mom, my dad, and Ash were there day one, helping me the first day. And yeah, they've just been always there for me no matter what. They've been huge, huge supports. And yeah, we definitely couldn't do it without them. We would not be here without them. That's for sure.
Okay. So yeah. They didn't say, hey, this is like a no-end business sort of thing. They never discouraged you from following your dream.
They had their concerns, but concerns like any parent would. Like now being a parent myself, I would definitely have to voice my concerns as well, starting a business. But if they wanted to start a business, but they always believed in us and they know that we have strong work ethic and we know we can all rely on each other and fall back on each other. So worst case scenario, doesn't work, we have to close down, we would figure something else out. We would move on together. We would move in back with our parents, and we would figure it out.
Yeah. And I think because I had been making cakes for, I guess it was around 4 years already before I opened a storefront. So it wasn't like I just liked it for a second and I was going to move on to something else. It was like for sure what I wanted to do. So that helped as well, having that background.
So how old were you like in those 4 years? Is that like 18 to 22 or what?
I think I was 20. We opened the bakery when I was 24.
24. Yeah.
24 turning 25. So yeah, I was around 20 when I started making cakes out of my apartment, and then quickly realized that was illegal and then had to rent kitchens overnight. So I would go to university, go to my job as a server, and then I would go to my rented kitchens overnight, and I'd have to like lug my mixer and all my boxes of flour and
oh my gosh,
flour and everything, butter, eggs. Yeah, it was a lot. So after doing that for a couple of years, it was just like I either have to open up a storefront and turn this into a legitimate business, because I wasn't making money then. I was like barely breaking even, or kind of stop and just completely focus on dentistry. So I chose cakes.
and I don't think we had unrealistic expectations going into it. We were never like, we're going to build this big company so that we can retire. And like, it was always like, let's find a way to pay ourselves a very,
like at first it's just me
and just work for ourselves.
Make enough to live, then I'm good.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're really speaking towards incredible passion then. I mean, you know, like I can even, was it something like, you know, your friends wanted to, you know, go out for dinner and you're like, no, I just want to bake a cake tonight. Like, I mean,
well, I would, and then I just go work after.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Jenna somehow didn't need sleep back then.
Yeah. I luckily I can survive on very little sleep. So it's worked well for me.
So was it the decorating part? Like I mean, obviously it was a decorating part, but like, I mean, like the finished piece, like, I mean, like you just.
Yeah. I mean, Ash has always been so creative, and I've been so envious of that my whole life. Like she's always been, just can create something from nothing, and it's just gorgeous. And I was always kind of like, I could look at something and create something, but I couldn't come up with it. Like I just hadn't found my medium yet. And then when I started decorating cakes, I'm like, okay, this is my creative expression. Because I knew that I was creative, but I just didn't know how to express it, I guess. So when I found that through cakes, it's like, okay, it just kind of like fit. And yeah. That's kind of how it worked for me.
Great. Okay. Yeah. So in terms of, let's go back to social media, because I mean, I think it's really important to talk about this because, you know, because I mean, as a therapist, I see the mental health, you know, impact it can have on people, like you're saying, judgments and, you know, there's so many fears about posting and likes and dislikes. How much, like, do you feel like you have a good relationship with it now, or do you feel still like kind of constantly consumed with it? And I don't know if this is an Ashley or a Jenna question, but
I think that's a great question. Social media, my first reaction is always to be like, oh, I hate social media, but I can't say that because it's got us to where we are. It's a great business tool. There truly is great community if you choose to focus on the positive aspects of it. And I think that's kind of where I fit in. I find when I'm at 2 hours a day of screen time on my phone, that's when I'm the happiest. I can still get my work done. I can still kind of keep up with some things, but I'm not getting sucked in. And I'm not getting sucked into the negative side of it and the comparison side and the comment reading side of like really complex issues. And that can just really drag you down and kind of mess with your inner peace, truly. So I find that is the best way to do it. So I found lots of ways to make sure that I am still working a lot on social media, but on my computer, because then I'm not getting pulled the same way that I would be if I was posting to Instagram and then scrolling for a little bit or getting distracted that way. Because even like we announced that we are on the Food Network as judges on a few episodes of a new baking competition series. And the outpouring of love and support we got from that was just it felt so great to see, and to see everyone's excitement and be able to talk to people about it. And it reminded me of that you can build community and you can build relationships and people genuinely are excited for you. Of course, there's going to be those people who are like, oh, you're kidding yourselves if you think you got chosen for talent and not just because you like whatever. There's always going to be that negative side of things, but if you focus on the positives, it truly can be an amazing place. But I think you have to find that balance that works for you. And for me, that's just cutting down my screen time significantly if I want to be balanced and happy.
Yeah, and social media is a scary place right now in a lot of ways because of all that mental health stuff as well, but then also because if someone decides they don't like you, they legit can ruin your business if they get enough traction with the cancel culture and all that stuff. So it is kind of scary putting yourself out there, making sure you're saying the right thing, making sure you're not liking the wrong thing or reposting the wrong thing or reposting the right thing. And it's a complex, very complex world out there. And I think it is like relatively new, and these issues are issues. And I hope one day that they'll be solved and managed in a better way, because I don't think human beings can keep going on this way and being so cruel to each other online. I just hope that ends soon, or is kind of policed in a certain way, in a better way. I'm not sure, but yeah, I think if you're able to just stay off the comment section, for me is when I start reading comment sections, I start feeling pretty down about humanity. So if I stay off there and focus on the good stuff and actually talk to people face to face and realize that people are good, most people are good, then it definitely brings me out of that.
Well, like there can't be negative comments about like baking. Like I just think
there
are.
How?
Yeah. People can be negative about anything, really. Yeah.
I guess so.
I just have to grab a power cord. I'll be right back.
For sure. But like, can you give me an example of that, Jenna? Like, how could?
Well, I remember the first time. So we opened in March, and I remember the first time I ever read reviews on it was Yelp or whatever it was.
Yeah.
It was Valentine's Day, so it was like we were open for almost a year.
March of what year?
2014.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
2014.
Yeah, 2014. And I remember reading them, and still to this day, I can't read negative reviews because I feel like they're attacking me personally, because it's my heart and soul in this business. And especially when I was legit making everything that went out, all the cakes and stuff, I took everything really, really personally, and it really took me down this like dark spot. And it was just like, I don't even remember some of the comments, but they were just very, very cruel, and actually had nothing to do with baking. It was more personal attacks on myself and my sister.
Exactly.
So that was really hard. So I've learned to just like, it's better for me to not read that stuff. I'll leave it to people who can handle it better. But I've definitely got a tougher skin, but it's been hard because I'm an emotional person, and I really do love this business, and it's everything to me. So anything negative said about it, and it's crazy because to every negative comment, there's probably 1,000 great ones.
Exactly.
But you hold on to those negative ones, which is
it's our human instinct. And I think like that's when people ask advice about starting a business, that's something I'll always kind of say, because I think it caught us both off guard that we would have to develop such tough skin if we wanted to make it. And stay true to ourselves and what we wanted to do, because you can get pulled in a million different directions, especially with the food related item. For example, if someone like our salted caramel macaron is by far our bestseller, and someone could say it's too salty, someone could say it's too sweet. So if we went either direction to try and fix that, we would alienate this huge percentage of our customers who love it the way it is. So it's finding that balance. No, but I think we found you have to listen to criticism, and you have to decipher that criticism. Because there is a lot of
bad.
Yeah, there's a lot that you can learn from criticism and a lot that you can build off of. And if you get your ego out of the way and truly listen to it and figure out if it's something you should listen to, you will get better and better and better and better. And that's, I think, what we've done over the past 8 years. We're listening and we're evolving and
hiring trained bakers.
Hiring, training. Like we've listened and we're still growing. And I think you cannot just turn yourself off of it. I know if it really affects you and gets you sad, like Jen and I that first year, we have a full CSR team, and we have a head baker who manages the kitchen, makes sure quality control is always there. Like we set all of these things in place, and we've done all these things because we kept an eye on things, and we know kind of the feedback we've been getting and how to grow from that. And it's overall been helpful, but you do have to develop a tough skin to be ready, because when you start a business and you love it and you're so passionate about it, you don't understand why someone would try and take you down. But I mean, it happens. So you just have to be ready for it, I think.
Yeah.
It's unavoidable.
Yeah. No, good. Yeah, you explained that very well. When did you guys start to realize, so you opened the bakery in 2014. When did you start to realize, oh, we actually have to hire more, and how did that feel? Like, or even to say, like, can someone do it as good as I, social media or even the baking? Like, that's a hard thing to kind of let go, right?
Mm-hmm. It took me about 4 years to hire someone to help with cakes.
Wow.
I did every cake that went out before then. And it took me a long time to relinquish control on that. But thank God I did, because I would not be living if I was still doing it.
Exactly.
It's hard to do for sure. But in terms of the baking, we knew people were better at it than us. So it was hard to find. Actually, our first hire outside of our friends was a girl, Aaliyah, who's still with us today in a completely different capacity, but she's amazing. So we had a great first hire experience.
And was it all local? Can I ask, were these local?
Everyone was local. I would recommend, though, we did hire friends, and some of them were great, and some of them, we learned some lessons, but if you can, it's best to stay out of you want to keep your friendships separate, because Ash and I were twins, we're sisters. We know each other so well inside and out that, like, we can work together. But I think when you're with friends and then as your business grows and then all of a sudden you're their boss and you have to kind of enforce rules, then it just gets really tricky. So
absolutely.
That's a hard spot to be in. And I also, my husband, I was gonna say our husband,
our husband,
oh, you guys are close.
My husband, he's been with Jenna Rae Cakes from almost the beginning. He started working in between. He was going to university to become a graphic design teacher for high school, and we kind of stole him away from that career path. But now he's our chief of operations, so we work side by side every day, and that's also hard. I think the first, I'd say 6 months is a really
that was a
complicated time of like learning how to work together and learning how to not take criticism to the point of like, you don't respect me at my core because you don't agree with this business decision. It's a hard balance to find, but I think we've found it now.
Yeah, you guys are great. I'm always in awe of your working relationship and also your normal relationship.
Yeah.
I don't think I can work with my husband. Love him, but
no, that's an excellent point. That's a whole new level of cooperation and team effort, and to be a team as in an intimate relationship and in a team in a business relationship. I mean, that's a lot of your partner in one day. Yeah, let's be honest. So
it helped when we weren't working in the same. Well, I guess now we are again, but Trev was out front. So when we just had our one little location, we were always in the same spot.
Okay.
And then as we grew, it was.
I think it's figuring out those balances and who's in charge of what and who kind of not gets the final say, because I say we're all pretty on the same page for a lot of things. But I think we're all at the point now where we truly value what the other person does and feels like we couldn't really do it without the other person. So it's not a push and pull. It's kind of just like we're all coexisting, and I don't know. It's a good spot to be in.
Okay. And no children for you yet, Ashley?
I have 2.
Oh, you have 2.
Yeah, she's.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay. And Jenna?
I have 2 as well.
2 as well. Wow. Okay. So you're able to sort of work an 8-hour day and shut it off, or
I don't think I ever shut it off.
Trev does. He's always been good at putting that aside. I think because this isn't his passion. He loves being part of the family company and growing it that way, and he gets a lot of satisfaction out of it. And he's so great with, like, he's like our HR and our people manager, and he's really
and our
a
devil's
charismatic
advocate.
person. Yeah, a constant adversary. But
Yeah.
he, where was I going with this?
He's able to turn it off at night.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's able to turn it off. He's not gonna like look at spreadsheets and like do payroll. But for me, like I love editing photos and design work, so I'll do that all night long if I need to. But I've especially now that we have a larger team, we're still very busy day to day on all of our different projects, but I'm able to turn it off. But if I have a night to myself, or if he's going to watch his show, I'm on my computer working, because it's just what I love to do.
Yeah, exactly.
After the kids are in bed.
Yeah, it brings you joy. Absolutely. Yeah.
That's like me. I'll be making sugar flowers all night, or like while the girls are napping at home or whatever. But
oh my gosh. Okay. So
but if we had kids when we first opened, like I don't know how people do.
I don't know. Yeah.
That's
glad we started when we
had
did.
like 16-hour days at the beginning, and now I'm like here in Toronto right now, whereas if this was 5 years ago, there's no way.
No.
So
yeah, I was gonna say it's called grandparents, but
well, yes, grandparents are super helpful for us for sure. We wouldn't be able to do it without them.
Yeah.
So speaking of kids, is that it for you guys, or is there gonna be?
I'd like one more, maybe. My youngest is almost 8 months. So
wow. Okay. Does your husband know you want one more?
Yeah, he would have like 5 more. But,
oh boy. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe one more.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, yeah, you'll have lots of helpers in the kitchen if that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so, yeah, actually my son had a birthday yesterday, and so I was in your shop yesterday, and I picked out everything related to birthday cakes. You know, the birthday cookie, the macaroon, and so how did you so in that respect, how who comes up with the new ideas, and why isn't it like pies? Why isn't it slices of cakes being sold? Why, how do you come up with the creations? And
so I think what's kind of made us special from the beginning is that we aren't classically trained. I think if we were, our macarons would be this typical pistachio, vanilla, raspberry flavors. Like we wouldn't be doing anything crazy. But when we open up, we're like, what do we want? Like we have sweet tooth, or like cotton candy, Lucky Charms. Like that's what I want to see. So we just made kind of what we wanted, and people seem to really appreciate that. So we did get a lot of pushback from by classic chefs and whatever, but it's worked for us, and we don't have that like, not pretentious, but that I guess
it has to be done this way.
It's like, this is the way it is. Whereas we're just like, let's just do what we want to do.
Exactly. Like bringing out your uniqueness.
Yeah.
Right?
And our staff, they have great ideas too. And we're like, yeah, let's try it. Like that sounds delicious. So we've done a million different flavors at this point. Some of them tanked. Some of them are still on our menu in constant rotation today. So
which one has been around forever?
Cotton candy for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Toffee salted caramel cookie sandwich. That's another very popular one.
I just can't imagine someone taking something from there and just kind of going, not really my thing.
There are, but
luckily we have a lot who
I'm the same way. I know if I try,
it's not for everyone.
I don't love it, but I know other people do, so I'm not gonna go say something mean about it.
and in that aspect too, like you're saying, it's something that I love. Is that how the jewelry is brought in? For example, jewelry is something I love to wear, so therefore I am going to sell that in my shop. I don't care what anybody else really thinks.
The jewelry, actually, my friend Kelly, she's the owner of that line, and we just had a lot of her target demographic coming into the store, so it just kind of made sense to expand our retail side of things. And then we started collaborating with her on pieces, so we've collaborated on almost, I think, 8 or 9 pieces of jewelry over the last 3 years. And it's just a fun way to be creative in a different medium, and kind of like we just did the sprinkle bracelet.
I'm wearing mine right now.
So it's so it's like a play on sweets and a play on what we do, but it's just another medium of doing it. That's the same with our perfumes and our candles that we've done, and
and the apparel that we do. It's like, well, I want that, so we'll just order a bunch and sell them.
No rules over here.
Exactly. And then I think that, again, that pertains to why it's worked so well. And you mentioned demographic. If you were just to describe your demographic, like I can sort of guess, but how would you define it?
I kind of have a hard time with this question because we get a lot of it's actually one of the best parts of the book is seeing kids make the recipes with their moms and dads and families and having them come up to us and get us to sign the book. And it's just, I've loved that part of the book. It's like one of the most special parts for me is just seeing how we're kind of like, I have memories of baking at home with my mom. So now to know that we're a part of that is really cool. So I'd say like young kids who have a affinity for baking or sweet treats, which are sprinkles, which is like a big percentage of kids, all the way up to people in their, I don't know, in like their later years too. I think our core demographic is, I think technically on Instagram, it's between 24 and 34, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
Predominantly women, 98% or something. So there's definitely that core demographic. But I think as we get older too, like we started this 8 years ago, our interests have kind of shifted and changed and we're evolving and growing. But I think for our next phase of business, we're really catering to at-home bakers with our cookbook. And we're going to be launching a line of decorations soon, which is very exciting. We have our line of liquid flavors, which is also used in our cookbooks to flavor a bunch of our products and in our own kitchens to flavor a bunch of our products. So we're just kind of looking for different extensions to kind of pull from that and mostly cater to home bakers.
Yeah, no, the flavors are like amazing and they are unique. You know, it's not like you taste something and kind of go, oh yeah, that tastes like, no, I don't think so. You know, that tastes like someone grandma's like cake, you know, that I tasted one time, you know, years ago or something like that. Yeah. Which is again, I think why you're doing so well. Let's talk a little bit about entrepreneurship and you know, what is it that some people don't understand about, because I mean, well, actually this is probably something I wanted to ask you. What did it feel like, or, you know, when did you actually get the sense of, you know, we've got this, like this is a pretty damn good business and I'm seeing oodles of cash coming in, and like, let's be honest, that must feel freaking awesome. And when did that happen? And, you know, like, what did that feel like? Like, you know, we've got this.
So I don't know if you ever feel like we got this, because there's always a new problem to solve. Like, I swear all we do is just solve problems every day. Like, there's always new issues arriving. There's always something to figure out. There's always a shipment that didn't come in. There's always a product that needs fixed. Like, it's constant fires you're putting out. But I do think we really value the really cool opportunities we've been able to do. And that kind of always makes us kind of stop and like think back, like, wow, like, remember where we came from? Like, this is pretty cool. Even like after everyone's gone at the end of the day and like we're turning off the lights in the kitchen and the building, we're like, wow, like we built this. Like, we
always have those like little moments, even stuff like this where we talk through like how it started. And I've said the story so many times, but I'm like, that's pretty wild. Like, it's pretty crazy how we are where we are now from where we started. So for me personally, there was one moment that I was like, wow, we've made it. It was just really validating for me as a self-taught like cake maker, was when Martha Stewart posted us as one of the top wedding Instagrams to follow for cakes. And on that list were like my idols, like Ron Ben Israel and Maggie Austin and all these people. And I was just like, holy crap. So that for me was like a pretty like, wow moment. That was probably one of the highlights of my career so far. That was really cool.
And my wedding was featured, and I swear it's due to Jenna's beautiful cake in the actual magazine of Martha Stewart. So that was such an incredible thing for me, because I was a creative director at a local wedding magazine. So that was always the one that I looked up to the most. So that was a super cool super cool experience.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's what I was looking for. I mean, even the review from Jillian Harris, on your like,
yeah,
wow.
she's always been
She's
such
great.
a supporter. She's been great.
Oh, like so you guys reached out to her, or like how does that work?
She followed us on Instagram.
She was in town. Yeah, she was in town for yeah, and she said she wanted to come in for macarons, and we met her, and then we kind of kept in touch.
Well, I didn't meet her because I had to go to the chiropractor. I'm still upset. Cash got to meet her.
She's very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, she's a wonderful human, I think, and I think that's why she's so successful. She's so genuine and like truly always trying to improve herself and be better, and she has great taste, great aesthetic, and she supports people, and she's pretty amazing.
Okay, how about so I know I have to be respectful for your time. Let's get into, I might want to ask you some rapid fire questions at the end.
Sure.
But before that, what could each of you identify a limiting belief that you had to move past in order for this bakery to become what it is?
Yeah, good question.
Yeah, well, I would always say like imposter syndrome for me. I don't know if that's a limiting belief, but for me,
sure.
that's like, because I am self-taught, I think that, and we've kind of just grown into these roles that we're in now. So a lot of the time I feel like, am I even qualified to be doing this? Like, is this real?
That's a great point, especially for the Food Network show. We were on there and they're like, Chef Kosovan. I'm like, I'm not a chef. I didn't go to school for that. Like, I don't know if I can be called that. But you just realized you've accumulated a wealth of knowledge in other ways. Just because you don't have that certificate on the wall saying that you went to pastry school and now you in a bakery, it doesn't credit you in some way. I think that's something we both had to kind of get past.
Yeah, I think real life experience is just so valuable, and we've had a lot of it in our 8 now plus years of this business. So
exactly. Like, I think what you're speaking towards is, for anybody out there, they don't have to have, a bunch of letters behind their name, like spilling off their business card in order to be, viewed as an expert or, and
I think you just have to find your niche and your wheelhouse, what you're passionate about.
And if you're in a creative industry, your work speaks for itself, really. I mean, I guess it's harder. Obviously, if you want to be a lawyer, you need that schooling. But if it's more of a creative thing, what I always say to people too who want to turn something into a business is just like the number one thing. And I know it sounds obvious, but just make sure you're good at it. Like some people have a hobby that they love and they're good at it, but they're not above and beyond of what's being offered. So you want to make sure that you look at yourself through a hard lens sometimes and just be like, is this good enough to, be competitive in the market that we're in? I think that's a really important thing because I don't know. I think it sounds obvious, but I always just like to say it.
Yeah, no, but I think, the only way you're going to find out if, the answer to that is to do it though, right? I mean, if you,
I guess depends on what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. It depends on the career or the profession, but, you would have never known you're as good as what you are until you decided to open up that storefront.
Well, I kind of knew. In terms of like design wise, like cake design, I knew what I could offer there. So I knew that I can compete with the top cake makers in the city, just in terms of design, not in terms of like the baking aspect or the business running or that kind of stuff. That was all learned later. But in terms of like my bare skill, like I knew that I'm not a cocky person by any means, but I had confidence in my skill to open up.
Okay,
I know that I could compete.
Good point. You do need confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Well, what tips could you give like quickly, like to other women out there who, who are making their candles at home or their natural health products or, whatever that might be? What would you tell them?
I think the graphic designer in me is always really pushing to make sure that you look professional, you look polished, you can compete with what they see what they're inundated with every day on Instagram, in the stores. I think packaging is so important. Branding is so important. I think you need to invest in that right away if you want to compete.
Good
because
point.
there's so much beautiful things that you see every day now that something that's not professionally done with a lot of care and attention to detail really stands out, and you want to make sure that you can show just how professional the product is inside of that packaging, and how high quality it is. So I think that's something that people really need to put the time and money and effort into, for sure.
Yeah, and I got so lucky with that because that's an expensive thing, and I had Ashley from the beginning, so I got very lucky there. But it's just so important. Otherwise, people might just look past you because it doesn't look professional enough, or they see something prettier. Meanwhile, the product isn't as great, but you wouldn't know that. So,
yeah, excellent point. I think like what you're saying, if you have the funds, definitely invest in that. It's well worth it. And I think you're right. I think it's like it's a very competitive market out there in terms of what's going to catch your eye, right? I mean, that's what marketing is. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so I'm going to end with some rapid fire questions. And I don't know, like if one of you want to just jump in and answer it, because, you can right away do it, or one of you doesn't have an answer and the other one does, jump in. If neither of you have an answer, then don't respond. Okay. So if I said to you, I'm going to put you on your own private jet tomorrow, where would you want to go?
Italy.
I want to go to Paris. I still haven't gone to Paris. I need to go there.
Okay.
I'll go to Paris too.
Yeah. Yeah. Anywhere in Europe. Okay. Yeah. What are a few artists on your playlist right now?
Taylor Swift. Always.
Yeah.
Sorry, you guys are cutting out.
Oh, what's on your playlist right now? Favorite artists, or one of them?
Taylor Swift and Keith Urban are my favorites. I think I heard Jenna Rae say that too.
Yeah.
But I really like a folk music and really chill Zen music too. So I always just search for playlists like that. I've never been super into music, but
yeah, I love music, but I'm not like constantly into looking at new things.
No.
I like the sounds of that. What is that song?
Okay. What is a forbidden food that if you could eat without guilt, you would do it daily?
Cheese, but I do eat it daily.
Mine would be chips. I love chips. We can't even have them in the house because my husband and I are just horrible.
See, so like nothing sweet.
No, I'm a really salty person.
You're what?
I like salt. Like I'm more of a salty palate person.
Well, and I have a sweet tooth, but I get to fulfill that every day. So.
Well, I was gonna say, like, I mean, thank goodness you don't, because I mean,
I'm getting more of a sweet tooth as I get older. I found, but yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. So, what's a favorite way of getting some movement in your daily life?
I love Peloton and I love working out. So Orange Theory, Peloton, all that stuff.
Okay, easy. And you, Ashley?
Peloton and working out too. I find it really important to just relax your head or your brain and turn off and focus on something.
Well, and here I go for lots of walks with my daughters too.
Well, I was going to say you never stop. You never stop when you're a mom. So yeah, exactly. Okay. Favorite way of distressing or getting rid of unwanted anxiety?
Working out.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Favorite Manitoba getaway?
I love Thermia. I mean, it's in the city, but it's like an escape. That's one of my favorite places. I haven't been so long. I need to go, but Thermia for me probably. And then where's that? Hecla? That was really fun. Mike and I went to Hecla one weekend. It was really nice. Staycation.
Yeah. Ashley? Oh, Ashley cut out.
Oh.
Okay.
Her Wi-Fi must be bad there.
Yeah, must be bad. Okay. And we'll jump on to the next question. Favorite subject in school?
Math. I liked math.
Interesting.
You guys. What? Ashley's obviously was art. advertising art.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Okay.
Okay, I think I'm caught up now. I think I can hear you.
Okay.
Favorite
I was
subject
frozen
in
there for a
school.
little while.
I said advertising art for you.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. If your baking creation hadn't taken off, where do you think you'd be instead?
I guess I'd be a dentist, but that sounds, I don't know. I don't know if I would like that much.
I don't know. I think I would be, well, I was getting into freelance graphic design, but I feel like I probably would have ended up doing something on my own.
Okay. You would have been like a
sort of
top,
entrepreneurial something.
Yeah, you'd be like in like a top magazine somewhere, I bet.
Yeah.
In New York or something. I'm so glad you stayed here though. Ash is too good for me. Not too good for me, but she should be in a huge city.
Well,
I like the city.
On that note, do you think you will expand outside of, well, okay, the stores, there's 3 stores now in Manitoba, but what's on the outlook for you guys?
It's always a hard question because I would love to open up stores in every major city in Canada, but it's such an endeavor. Like to do a kitchen, you need to open probably a couple locations to make it worth a while, and it's a big investment. So maybe down the road, we'll never say never, but it's a huge endeavor.
Yeah, something we can't really wrap our minds around.
Yeah, I think we would need like outside help for that. We would need like an investor who's done it before, like go on Shark Tank or something.
Right. Yeah. But as it is right now, you guys are very happy where it's at.
We're expanding in other ways, like the books, and we're on the new TV show coming out. Our product line is growing, so we want to expand that way as well.
More e-commerce and retail storefront.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, I will link up all your info in the show notes as always, and I thank you very much for taking the time for me again today, especially with little ones and
thanks for being flexible.
So much going on. Yeah,
I hear she's awake now, so it's perfect timing.
Perfect timing. Okay, and for everyone else, we'll see you next week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks once again for joining me on another great episode of I Think I Can podcast. If you liked it, please subscribe below so you don't miss out on any future episodes. And until next week, treat each day like it was your last, because each new day is a privilege that we shan't take for granted. Cheers and have a great week. Bye-bye.